and I was a young 7-year-old and I wasn't allowed to play it. But I used to, he obviously knew I was there because I mean, how sneaky can you be when you're 7 years old?
Did he
But I
touch you? Welcome back to the Gooma Stomp podcast. Today we will be doing the top 5 favorite game franchises from all of us. Tyler, Swanson, kick us off.
All right. Hard choice picking just 5, but I'd say seated pretty comfortably at number 5 is probably going to have to be Fire Emblem for me. I'm a big fan of the strategy like genre in general, but turn-based strategy holds a really special place in my heart. And Fire Emblem, I think, executes it pretty superbly, especially for being on a mobile platform. The character interactions are really good, and the music is absolutely amazing for the hardware they're working with. My personal favorite out of the series is kind of hard to say, but it actually probably be a tie between Fuin no Tsurugi and the Sacred Stones. Sacred Stones I really liked especially because they introduced a lot of free ranging. It's non-linear to an extent, so you could actually go back and grind all the experience you want for your units, which I'd spend hours doing because I'd always want to have my favorite characters be the strongest. But I mean, it's a game that I've gotten hours and hours of entertainment, and I've still gone back to today to replay the games that I hold so dear.
All right, sounds cool. Tyler Tews, go ahead and read off your number 5.
Well, my number 5 is probably pretty not much of a shock to all of you. It's Call of Duty. My favorite out of Call of Duty was the Black Ops. I just love Call of Duty just because of its. You guys know me. I'm a first-person shooter kind of guy, and I just love the realism that it brought. It definitely set a different standard for video games. I don't know if I necessarily like how many video games are picking up from it and what it's turning into, but before it got out of hand, it really was a fantastic game to play, and it just I love playing it. I love the realism with it, and yeah, that's my number 5.
All right, my number 5, starting off, would be Gears of War. These games, like, before the Xbox really became a huge deal, it only had Halo, and that carried the console pretty much. It was called the Halo box for a reason. But I guess the next big game to kind of be associated with Xbox or be a mascot would be Gears of War, and for good reason. I just thought these games were great for being third-person shooters. I guess I never really got huge into third-person shooters. I was more the FPS kind of guy. But Gears of War just brought like this new brutality. It's kind of like Mortal Kombat mixed with a shooter. I don't know. It's just tons of fun. I love the story aspect to it. I love the weapons in it. The characters are all great. It's just a great time, and it was a fun campaign to be able to do it with 4 people, which Halo hadn't had at the time when the first Gears of War came out, I believe. So it's just tons of fun. So many great memories on here. So that'd probably be my number 5. Tyler Swanson, your number 4?
I'm going to have to say my number 4 is going to be the Tales of franchise. It's a lot lesser known compared to like most mainstream games, but I mean, it's by no means like a unpopular franchise. I used to play Tales of Symphonia on GameCube for, I mean, I have to have put in at least over 400 hours in that game with me and my sister, just playing, like getting every single thing in the game unlocked, and getting all the special weapons, and like playing through again with the Game Plus mode. But my favorite of the series has got to be Tales of the Abyss. It was probably my favorite PS2 game of all time, and probably my second favorite game of all time. It had excellent voice acting for what it was, with the English voice acting, which is something you typically don't see in a JRPG. But the combat is really what won it over for me. They really took the formula in Tales of Symphonia and just really brought a lot of new grounds to it, which carried over into the subsequent games after it, like Tales of Vesperia and Tales of Graces. The story is nothing like amazingly spectacular. I mean, it's still kind of a JRPG, so it's not like the general plot line is not the most astounding, but the character interactions are really what brings it home. Like they actually really make you feel a lot of human emotions with the characters. Like many times I've actually cried and really felt a lot of genuine sorrow for some of the characters and what happens to them. So it's a really powerful game and really holds a special place in my heart, and that's why I have to put the franchise as a whole in my top 5.
Cool. Tyler, Tews?
Yeah, very nice. Number 4 for me was the Fallout franchise. There's just nothing better to me than a post-apocalyptic world that you have to survive, scrounge, build, fix, and just make your way through. My favorite out of the franchise was definitely Fallout 2. I don't know, it was actually the first that I played out of them all, and I don't know, there's just something about the starting in the vault. You start in the vault, you're being born when you choose your the way you look. You even go through your infant stages, your toddler stage. I thought it was really neat how they started it all out. I like the story in a whole better than Vegas, and I don't know. I logged a lot of hours playing that game. I spent tons of time with that game, and I just had so much fun with it that for me it was different than from what like first-person shooters I was used to, because I'm used to just run around blowing everything up, and that's it. This one you actually had to you had to survive on your own. You had to build new weapons. You had to find schematics to build certain ammo. You had to find items so that you could fix your weapons, and I don't know. Just to me, it was it had a lot of replay value to it, definitely, and even the DLC that they came out with it was definitely worth it. So for me, yeah, Fallout was a rather enjoyable experience for me, and I definitely love Fallout 2.
All right, definitely.
I'm actually kind of beating myself up because I didn't put Fallout in my top 5 now.
Yeah, it's definitely a good choice. It would make an honorable mention on mine. All right, and now my number 4, I'm going to go with Pokemon. This is just a great series that, it's still just as good today as it was before. Maybe not because I don't enjoy the newer Pokemon, like characters, but the games are still just as good. They haven't dipped in quality. I think they peaked with Silver, and then Soul Silver definitely beat that, I guess, but it was essentially the same game, just better. But in terms of the actual games, they deliver each time. They deliver a great story, great RPG elements of raising your Pokemon, etc., picking their moves. There's not a whole lot of great games based off of TV shows or vice versa, and I think this one really is one of the best out there. It's good for kids. It's good for older generations. I just think just about everybody loves playing these games, and I would love to see them on the consoles, because I'm still waiting on a 3D Pokemon on a console where it's like a first-person shooter view, but you get to go and train the Pokemon. That would be tons of fun. I would instantly buy that. And my favorite of the series, like I said, Soul Silver. All right, well then go ahead and start sharing your number 3, Tyler.
Number 3 I have to put in mainly just because of how fantastic the entire concept of the game's it kind of goes in with my number 2, but number 3 is gotta be Castlevania. I absolutely love the Castlevania games for their musics, for their graphics, that they push the boundaries, that everything they had. My personal favorite is really hard to say. It's a toss-up between Dawn of Sorrow for DS and Symphony of the Night. I know a lot of Castlevania purists won't like that because they think that the RPG ones kind of dipped in quality from the kind of the unfair platforming, extreme difficulty original Castlevanias. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with them. It's just that from the RPG standpoint, I really like them because I just love exploring Dracula's castle, and then you stumble across some crazy weapon, and you upgrade your weapon, and then you're using that weapon, then you find another cool little weapon, and it's just kind of like the game feeds you like little things that you just really like to enjoy. And as over time, you get like special attacks from enemies and from bosses that help you progress further in the game, and so you can go backtracking to places you couldn't reach before. The concept to me of just exploring and like being stuck in Dracula's castle with all these terrible monsters, and a lot of them, especially like in Symphony of the Night, there's a lot of like genuinely terrifying bosses you have to face, especially bosses like Legion, where it's just like a ball of writhing naked flesh, just like a bunch of people like crawling all over it. It's pretty, for like, even with the graphics that they had, it's still pretty terrifying.
That's another good choice. I don't think there's been a bad choice yet. All right, Tews, number 3.
All right, number 3 for me was Dead Space. Dead Space was just one of those really terrifying video games that I really enjoyed playing, and it was graphically done well, and it was just, they really knew how to like scare, like they knew how to freak the hell out of you. They knew exactly, like you'd have the dead bodies laying there. I just love how you walk up to a dead body and you have to wonder if it's still alive or if it's dead, because it's like you walk past it, they just jump up and grab you from behind. It was a really well thought out video game. It runs very smoothly through the whole story. The story mode is incredibly awesome. You're alone in a giant spaceship with all these mutated, half dead, freakish looking, creepy ass characters that you gotta fight through, and all you usually have like these tools. I mean, they're not even guns, they're tools that they're technically tools that you find around these spaceships that you upgrade. The armor upgrades are awesome. I love the outfits that you upgrade. It was just a beautifully amazing game to me, and I just love the horror aspect to it. It's one of the scariest freaking games I've ever played. And, like, you just sit there and play it by yourself in the dark, and it just gives me the heebie-jeebies every time I play it.
All right.
Games like that are too spooky for me.
Yeah, I never played Dead Space, but I enjoy those types of games like Fear and Resident Evil, etc.
Yeah, it's one of those games that just scares the crap, like, especially the first time you play it. Dead Space 2 is definitely my favorite, because just as that first, or Dead Space 1, I mean, it was just that first time you play it, you just don't know what to expect from it, and it just scares the living crap out of you through the entire game. Like, I never played a game where the entire time I'm playing, I'm practically shitting myself. Just because it's just like they're so good at making things jump out at you, and just all the unexpected features to it.
All right. Well, my number 3 would have to be Halo. It's just, I mean, I don't even know where to start with Halo. Halo's just taken up so much of my time. From Halo 1, I think I started playing in 2002, and it's been 10 years now, and I played just so much freaking Halo. Halo 1, we used to play in LAN parties all the time. It was like the new GoldenEye, basically. It's where you all wanted to be on the same screen or have 2 TVs hooked up together, and just hours and hours of fun, just mindless fun on the same level, but there was just nothing like it at the time before, in my opinion. It was just very revolutionary for its time. It's the whole reason people bought Xboxes, like I said earlier. It's gotten better. It peaked with Halo 2, in my opinion, which is just tons of fun on Xbox Live. I played that every day after school. I swear I've played that like months of my life went to Halo 2. Such great maps, such great guns, great story. The campaigns, like, I feel like I'm going to leave things out just by talking it because there's just so much to it. I mean, there wasn't a bad game in the series. Sure, Halo Reach was disappointing, but it still has yet to have like a sequel or any game that just completely was below all the rest. There's ones that are better than the others. Obviously, like I said, Halo 2 and Halo 1 I still think are the best in the series. Halo 3 was decent, and Halo Reach was, a little bit under decent. And Halo 4 looks great as well, but I just can't. It's just so much fun. I just love everything about it. Tons of fun online. So many great memories. So many great times with friends, and I think that's really why I love it. It's not for its one-player aspect. The campaign and the characters are great, like I said, but the multiplayer is for me is the most fun I ever have online with a shooter is in Halo. It's just such a fun sandbox of games with the custom game types, the Forge, all the different fun maps and weird. There's just too much. I couldn't. I could talk about it for an hour in depth, and I feel like I'm disservicing it by not being able to spend that long on it. So I'll just stop here. But Halo 2 was my favorite in the series, and I think the series is still gonna do even better and keep going further with this new trilogy. So just looking forward to the future of it. All right, how about your number 2, Swanson?
My number 2 kind of goes in hand with my number 3 as far as just the exploration part. But I personally think that grouping the 2 games together is kind of something I don't really agree with, but a lot of people do. But number 2 is Metroid. And I can see how a lot of people do group Castlevania and Metroid together into like the Metroidvania genre. But Metroid to me is focused more along exploration than Castlevania is. Like every power up in Metroid you absolutely need. Like you need to progress in the game, whereas every power up they give you in like Castlevania is just kind of like a really cool thing that you can use to kill enemies and whatnot. But Metroid to me is a really special game because I used to play Super Metroid like all the time on my SNES. I had to have beaten the game like 3 times because back when I was a kid, you didn't get a new game like every month when they came out. Like you had the same 3 games for like years, so you just continuously beat the same games over and over again until you knew like every single secret. And Super Metroid to me is one of my all-time favorite games. I wouldn't put it quite at number 1, but it's definitely in the top 5. And just I remember exploring as a kid and finding like all these hidden areas, and I remember I got to this one area. At first it scared the living crap out of me because it had like this room with like this enemy you've never seen before and like this weird yellow wall. And so when I first saw it, I was like 8 years old, so I immediately ran out of the room because I was terrified. But like later on I went into the room and I realized that like the guy destroys the yellow wall and like behind it's like I think a power bomb pickup. But I remember it just like scared the living crap out of me when I was a kid, and I have no idea why. But I love the concept of the Metroid games. I love getting all the power-ups and going through, and I love going back and sequence breaking once you played the games a lot, like getting items early and just breaking the game at its foundations like the developers never intended you to. And it's given me so many hours of fun that I feel that I insult the series by not putting it number 2.
Awesome. All
Very
right,
nice.
Tews?
My number 2 kind of goes hand in hand with my number 4. I kind of think, my personal opinion, I had BioShock, which to me, in a lot of senses, it seemed a lot like Fallout. You know, it's you have those power ups with the different ammo and stuff you can go through. Although there are a lot of differences. For instance, your abilities, the abilities that you gain from this game are just awesome. I love the whole underwater aspect, just sort of creepy, eerie, and then you got that kind of like 60s kind of aspect to it, which I really enjoy. And then in the video games, to me, BioShock was just an incredibly fun single player game, and to me, I just don't think there's a whole lot of those single players anymore that I really enjoy, because nowadays it's always all about the multiplayers and the co-op and this and that, and it's really hard to find a game that you can just sit down by yourself and really enjoy and play yourself. And to me, BioShock did that. Big Daddy, I love that. I love the bosses they have in this video game. They did a great job with the different splinters. I think what they're called. Sorry, so just stick with me. It's been a kind of a while since I played it. BioShock 1 was definitely my favorite out of the franchise. I think BioShock 2 was enjoyable, but I just feel like there was more they could have done with it. I'm incredibly excited for BioShock 3 because they're actually changing it up quite a bit. They're bringing it, now it's in the skies as opposed to underwater. So it's really interesting to see all the stuff they do with that. Just Rapture, the level, the gameplay through Rapture is just great scenery. I love the graphics on the levels with those. Just the eerie, you got the leaking water, and and just old, rundown, eerie feeling to it. And it's by far one of my favorite games I've played. I'm incredibly excited for the next one to come out.
Awesome. Did not expect BioShock to be number 2 on your list.
I've actually never played BioShock.
I played the first one and loved it. I couldn't get into the second one though for some reason.
Yeah, like I said, like the first one they did it great, but the problem was with the second one, it seemed almost more like it was an add-on or something that could easily be done in a DLC, as opposed with the third one, they're actually like it's a complete different thing. Like it's a completely different story, I think, because now it takes place in the air as opposed into underwater. So it'll definitely be interesting and enjoyable to see what they do with Bioshock 3 because they're changing it up so much.
Yeah, it definitely looks interesting. All right. For my number 2, Mortal Kombat. This is no surprise for a lot of people that know me. It's not that the game is that great. It's not that the games have ever been that great. It's just that I've played it ever since I was a kid, like 3 years old, no joke, 3 or 4. I know for sure that's when I first started playing the first one, and I just fell in love with the characters. Something about the visualness, like their visuals and how the characters look, really like caught my eye when I was really, really young, playing it at a neighbor's house, because I had older brothers, so that's why I was playing such a more adult game when I was a kid. That's just how it goes. But yeah, it's just there. I still remember in my mind, I have a visual memory of how Mortal Kombat 1 select screen looked on my neighbor's screen, and like I said, this was when I was 4 or 3, because I know I moved away from there when I was 4.5, so I know it had to have been around then. So this has just stuck with me forever, and while growing up, I just really got into this game, and it's like I said, it's not that these are the most best quality games by any means. It's just that they're tons of fun to play with friends when you're screwing around or just having a good time. They can be super competitive if you find somebody that's as good as you, but mainly it's just about the characters. I just love, it's the only series I think where, beyond maybe my number 1, where I can name just about every character that there is on the roster. There's like 60 characters in all, and I can name every single one if I saw an image of them or just off the top of my head. I know what they all look like. I know their backstories. I just really got into it, and I just think it's the mythology and the characters that really, and the special powers that just really attracted me, and it's tons of fun. I don't know. It's hard to explain like why Mortal Kombat would be your second favorite franchise, but like I said, ever since I was a kid, I just really got into it, and especially when Mortal Kombat 5 came out, which is Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance. That's when I really got into the internet. That's when I was 11 years old, so 2001. So that's when I really got into the internet. So I would spend just about every day on these forum boards talking to other people about their passion about Mortal Kombat. So it's kind of a neat new experience because I never got that. Everyone remembers what they first, when they first start getting on the internet, they are, it's a whole new world. So it was really cool to be able to find other kids or people that really enjoyed the series too and really got into the characters, etc. So this is the real first series that I really got like crazy addicted to and super into and would spend every day talking about with other people. So it was just tons of fun. So I followed every game, Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance up till now, Mortal Kombat 9, and then the next one that eventually will come out. Like that's been my homepage for the past 8 or 9 years was Mortal Kombat Online. So it's just something that I really get into, and I just love playing and getting into the story. So it's just kind of hard to explain. Other than that, no other games have really done that for me. Like I'll get into the stories or characters, but there'll still be a lot of characters or story elements that I don't even remember or know. So it's just a great game for me and great franchise overall.
That's definitely one game that I was surprised at myself that I didn't put on my list. That's a game that you and I, especially over the years, have had a lot of fun playing. Even though you kick the living crap out of me every time we play it, but still, I still love everything about that game. It's just
the characters are they got such personality and
depth. And their backgrounds. I mean, backgrounds are so in depth with some of these characters. I mean, you don't see a lot of that with a lot of fighting games made today. They don't really go into a whole lot of background like you do with a lot of these characters. And even from everything from their backgrounds to just the moves that they do, and everything seems like, especially with the newest one they did, everything's different with every character you play. Like everyone's got their own move, and they're noticeably different to play from each character to character, and that's what I love about it. And it's always just been a very nice, diverse game. just one of those games that's always like push the limit too. You know, one of
Yeah,
those games that always pushes the envelope and see how far they can go with it. And they went over and above with this new game, especially with the X-rays.
yeah,
That's the coolest feature I think I've ever seen in this game. Is those X-ray moves. I love it.
yeah. There's a lot of cool things about the franchise. Like I said, it's not like, it's not something you write home about by how good it is. It's just a ton of fun, and the characters are really well done, in my opinion. And that's something that I could never get into Street Fighter because it just wasn't. It just didn't seem as in depth. Like Street Fighter is, in most people's opinions, a better made game with a better fighting engine. But I just, for some reason, Mortal Kombat's characters have just always appealed to me more.
I don't know. And I think that's easily arguable with, especially the new Mortal Kombat that just came out. I mean,
Yeah,
the fighting engine is that. I mean, the the levels themselves are just amazingly put together so beautifully. I don't know. I personally don't feel like there's really any other fighting game that competes, in my personal opinion, that competes with Mortal Kombat. I mean, obviously everyone's entitled to their own opinions, but my own opinions, yeah, I think Mortal Kombat's one of the best games, fighting games out there, and it always will be, always has been. So yeah, I think that's a great choice. Definitely not surprised by it, but I'm definitely surprised myself that I didn't think about that one. So yeah, that was definitely a great choice by you, Stephan.
all right. Well, Tyler Swanson, number one.
My number one kind of goes along with in vein with yours actually, because I used to sneak out and watch my dad play one of these games every night. Like he'd play it after I went to bed, but I'd sneak out and like watch him behind the couch because it was rated teen and I was a young 7-year-old and I wasn't allowed to play it. But I used to, he obviously knew I was there because I mean, how sneaky can you be when you're 7 years old?
Did he
But
touch you?
I used to watch him for hours on end. And it kind of the same thing with the internet too. The first time I ever used the internet was to go to these forums called FF Shrine, and I used to post as I think it was Tyler FF7 was my name actually, but it's got to be Final Fantasy for me. Final Fantasy VII was one of my favorite games when I was a kid. I played it so many times. I've had to have beaten that game at least over 30 times. Like not even joking. And I remember for, I believe it was my 10th birthday, I got Final Fantasy IX for my birthday along with PS2. And Matt Runge was there, and we fired it up right after I got it. But then I remembered I didn't have a PS1 memory card anymore because it died in the flood. So I played the intro of the game like 3 times before my dad bought me a memory card because I wanted to play it so bad. And it's a really special series to me. I think it has probably some of the best music in any franchise ever made. I think Nobuo Uematsu is probably one of the greatest composers of our time. Like, not even lying. A lot of his music to me, like I can still hear it in my mind whenever I just stop to think about it. I love listening to ranges of it. It's just a really powerful series to me, especially Final Fantasy IX is probably my favorite. It's a game that I just always held dear to me when I was a kid, and I played it so many times. I even recently played it like last year, and it still retains every bit of charm I had when I was a kid and I played it. And I'm really disappointed at where the series is going now, and unfortunately, I don't think I'll be playing any more of the games, but it's something I can't ever deny as my number one. I really wish I could put some other games in my top 5, but there just wasn't quite room for them. But, I mean, what can you do with 5?
Yeah, and we could always do a couple honorable mentions, but yeah, it's tough to go down to 5. It's really tough. You when you start to think about it, you just think of how many great game series that either died off after a few games, so you don't really think about them anymore, or just ones that are still kind of new. They only have like 2 games and they're relatively recent that you could see being your favorite franchises in the future, but they don't quite beat out some of the ones that had more games to them and lasted longer, so to speak. So yeah, it's definitely tough.
And especially even though these are top 5, they're not even. I don't know. It's hard for me to even consider these like really that much different from each other as far because I love them all in their own different ways. So it's not like I don't know just because I don't know Fallout is number 4 or whatever. that don't like that as much as the other ones. I mean, it's just so hard to really take all these games that you know and love and really just try to do some down to the five that you like the most and stuff. So I mean, even though these are top five, they're all very close to each other. So it's not like I
Yeah.
will just absolutely love one more than the other. I mean, especially with playing games for as long as we've been playing them, it's just so tough to like number it down to five games that you just love because there's been so many of them made throughout the years, and there's just so much nostalgia that
Yeah.
Yeah,
goes with it. With
I'll
some of
have
these
to give at
games.
least one honorable mention after you guys go through.
All right. Go ahead,
Right.
Tews. Give us your number one.
Well, my number one is I think it was your number two, Stephan, or number three, Halo. Halo is by far, I don't know by far, but it's definitely one of my favorite games. But it's one of the games that really turned me from a casual gamer to a real hardcore gamer, I guess so to speak. Uh, Halo to me is one of the games that really brought about the multiplayer aspect. Before that, I felt games were obviously more single player, do it by yourself, or that they were multiplayer, but it wasn't to the level that Halo brought it to. Halo really opened the doors for multiplayers for a lot of the multiplayers we have today. It changed the gaming industry as we know it. And even though that it does kind of suck in a sense, a lot of gamers are trying to go for that first shoot, first person shooting aspect, mainly because of Halo, because Halo did so well that people are trying to cash off it for as much as they can. But in the long run, there really is no replacing what Halo did for me growing up. Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3, even though that the further up they got, the not so much less I enjoyed them, but I felt that the weaker some things got. It's hard to really beat the original, or at least two. I just had to say my favorite is either the first one or number two, just because of the nostalgia that comes with them. The maps are so much, and we've all had conversations about all the same stuff I talk about here. The maps for two were just so well done. The gameplay was incredible, and it was just the hours that we spent playing, especially number two. The hours we all spent online playing together. There's just there's so much memory there, and it's just it's one of those games that you think of, and it's just you instantly think of your childhood, and more middle school to high school age when we just spend our weekends playing this game, our nights playing these games, and it's just one of those games that really hits home for you, and it's just you always love going back to, even though we kind of got away from Reach there for a while, just because you kind of got burnt out on it. But look, we still went back and now we're playing the crap out of it again because it's just one of those games that for me, you can just never stop playing, no matter how different they get. It's just one of those games that just because of where it's been, where it's taking you, and what you've gone with throughout your life, that it's definitely one of those games that you just can't put down. You just can't say no to. And for me, that's why that's my number one. It's just that game that I know that no matter how many they make, I'll always end up buying it just because of all the joy we've had playing it in the past.
Yeah, it's got so much to offer. It's such a great experience. Like it's such a like the campaign is such a visual like experience. It's got such great visuals, such great story to it. Just so many good moments, and yeah, the campaign is great in itself, but it doesn't even compare to how great multiplayer has been over the
Yeah.
years. Just so much there. So yeah,
Like for me, it's like, yeah, the campaign's always been great, but even with the campaign, like most of my memories come from playing online with you guys. Just so much, and not even the competitive from it. Like even the custom games that we used to play, and just we used to have so much fun playing these custom games that it's just. I mean, that was the beauty about Halo 2 was custom games. I know
yeah,
so there weren't a whole lot of games out there that allowed you to do so much with a multiplayer custom game before Halo. I mean, if
yeah,
you really, really think about it, Halo really brought that whole aspect of custom games to life. Because I think before that, when they had time splitters, which that wasn't that great of custom games. Just Halo. Like you could just do so much with a custom game. You could almost do whatever you wanted with them, and it was great. Especially when they brought in the Forge aspect. Now you can create your own levels, create your own game types. All that. It's just it's almost like creating your own game anymore, and it's just amazing what they've done with that ability. It just seems like that's one thing that no other game has really done yet.
Yeah, don't
Like.
and let's not forget like the theater and how much that offers,
Yeah.
just to be able to recall memories and show, like, just to save that kind of stuff. Like, after that was in Halo 3, you wanted that in every game. Grand Theft Auto, you wanted to be able to recall cool stuff that you did. Just about any other game you can think of. It's so awesome to be able to just capture a memory that you did online and be able to show people what you did. It's just so fun.
Yeah, I can't remember how many times you'd sit there and you tell someone, "Dude, you wouldn't believe what happened. This totally happened." They're like, "Yeah, whatever. Sure you did." And now it's so great to be able to do that and then be like, "Yeah, see, look, here it is. This totally happened." And people are just like, "No way! I can't believe that actually happened." Because before people just had to take your word for it, and you just feel like no one ever believed you. And now it's like you can actually go back to that moment, recapture it, and now you have proof of what happened. Like the time you killed a guy with a street cone,
Traffic cone, yeah.
traffic cone. Like no
Yeah.
one would believe that in a million years until you showed them the video, and it's just like, yeah, to be able to capture moments like that, it's awesome.
Yeah, so much to say. But my number one is, to no surprise, I mean, this is gonna be a number one for a lot of people, and I'm sure, obviously, yeah, obviously, you guys would agree that these are. I mean, this is just a classic. You can't go wrong with Mario. I mean,
God.
where do you even start with Mario? You have the Super Mario series as it is, 1, 2, 3. 2 is an oddball. You had Super Mario 3, which is still one of the best games ever. Super Mario World, of course. Then you go into like Super Mario Kart, which were all great games. Then you have Super Smash Brothers, which are all great games. Then you have Mario Tennis and Mario Golf, if you're into the like sports aspect of Mario, which is all fun. And then you have Mario Party. Like, it's just endless. There's no other franchise that I can name, and this is why it's my number one. Not only is it nostalgic, but there's no other franchise that's branched out to so many different types of genres of games and had so many different iterations that were just great. It may not be in Mario Galaxy, and the new Super Mario Bros. Wii is still fun. It's like, yeah, they haven't done too much new stuff with the series, but when you look at it, they did so much in its heyday. I mean, you even have Mario RPG and Paper Mario. Don't want to forget those. It's just like, you have the RPG, you have racing, you have sports, you have the side scrollers, you have the 3D ones where you can run around. Super Mario 64, Mario Sunshine. It's just, there's so much. There's just way too many to even talk about. It's just so crazy. You don't even scratch the surface with how much there is. And there's a reason why Mario is the Nintendo mascot and why he's survived the times. While Sonic has failed and kind of become a shell of his former self, and he's really gone way down compared to what he was in the heyday of Sega, Mario is still just as popular as ever. He still has great games, and they find that perfect balance between nostalgia and giving you old while still bringing you some new aspects to the games. It's just so, like, it's so great. There's like, it's your childhood, but yet it's still new and fresh, and it just never gets old. Like I said with Mortal Kombat, how I got so into the characters, like, it's just hard to find a Mario character that you can't love. I mean, you have Waluigi, but even Waluigi has his fans. Like, it's just, there's so much great stuff in Mario. Great one-player elements, multiplayer elements with the Mario Kart and Mario Party and Mario Tennis, etc., and Super Smash Brothers. Like, how many great memories and fun times did we have playing Mario Kart? Like, Mario Kart 64, I remember staying up multiple nights playing that, having multiple friends over, playing with my brothers. Beyond GoldenEye, Mario Kart was the other big, like, N64 title that just, I got so much use out of that system because of that game. Still tons of fun to play. And even Mario Kart 7 lately on the 3DS, or Super Mario 3D Land, or, like I said, the new Super Mario Bros. Wii, etc. Like, there's just so many games that Mario's been in that have been great that it's just, how can he not be number one? There's just so much there. It may not always be innovative in its games, but they, like I said, they just find that perfect balance of giving you, to me, it's the great, like, the best series of innovation mixed with that perfect fine line of not changing it too much. Like, if that's where Sonic really screwed itself, is it got too far away from what made it great, and now they're trying to go back to recapture it, and they just can't quite find it. Whereas Mario expanded itself and branched out to so many different genres that Mario wasn't just your favorite side-scroller, it was your favorite racer if you were into fun racing games. It was your favorite sports games if you didn't really, like serious sports, you just wanted, fun games. Mario Tennis was still a great game. Mario Golf was still a great game.
Mario Golf was fantastic.
Yeah, and Mario Party, those were great games, like minigame compilations. It's hard to find a great set of minigame compilations, which we talked about in the part 1 of this podcast with Nintendo Land. It's like Mario Party is Mario Parties aren't that great anymore. He doesn't throw the greatest parties anymore, but Mario Party 1 through like 5, 6, and even 7 were all pretty good. I mean, it had little dips here and there, but they were great games that had so much fun. And the best thing about Mario is it still gives you a reason to have friends come over and sit on the couch and pass around the controller, or all share the same screen on the same game. I think that's a lost concept with, a lot of the online games like Halo and stuff. Well, I love playing online and I love having the option to. It's definitely convenient and nice. But there's some times where you just want to bring everybody together and laugh and have fun in one single room, like the old days of gaming. And Mario still brings that, like with Super Smash Brothers, Mario Party, Mario Kart, etc., and even New Super Mario Bros. Wii, and how much fun that is and how innovative that is to be able to do a 4-person side-scroller. Even though it's not the first time that's been done, it's still really awesome to be able to do that, and it's just chaotic fun. And that's what Mario is. It's fun. Like Halo, it's fun, but I remember a lot of frustrating moments in Halo because you get competitive. Whereas Mario, you have your like tiny competitive elements with Mario Party, Super Smash Brothers, etc., but in the end, it's just fun. It's the childhood aspect that you just can't you can't shake. It's just so much fun that I just never see Mario dying in the video game world. He'll always be an icon for a reason because he just has such great diversity and variety in his games that he can reach out to all audiences. I mean, you can be in your 20s and still enjoy Mario, and that says something because he still was marketed, he's still marketed for kids for the most part, but his games just are so good and so diverse and have so much depth to them that they appeal to everybody. The casual gamers, you can have your 8-year-old daughter play Mario Party, Mario, New Super Mario Bros. Wii with you, and you can still have fun while she has fun. It just reaches to so much people. I just think Mario is everlasting in that aspect, and it's just hard to beat. So that's my number 1.
I think the thing to remember too is that with Mario, if you really really think about it, Mario was the biggest reason why we have what we have today. I mean, Mario really jump started the whole video game aspect. Like, it's what really brought the video game from just I guess your quote unquote nerds or your hardcore gamers for that era to the consumers too.
Yeah, it made Mario made it mainstream. It really
it
made it huge.
I think that's why it outlasts Sonic. If you think about it, because Mario personally, especially to me, Mario isn't just an icon of Nintendo. Mario's more than just an icon of Nintendo. Mario's an icon of gaming. Gamers everywhere, everyone that's ever loved gaming and played those games as a kid. Mario is really the icon of gaming, not just Nintendo, because I think that's really what Mario brought to all of us, especially at that era. So, I honestly, and Sonic was great, but it's just like Sonic did not do what Mario did for all of us, for the world of gaming and for gamers. And so that's the beautiful thing about Mario, is that it's what really everything that we have today in gaming, I think, is really thanks to Mario, even though all the games today are so far from it. But I guarantee you, every gamer that you talk to that have created these games, one of the first games they played was Mario. Mario is gaming, in my opinion.
Yeah,
it's Austin.
Yeah, and the thing about Mario is, like I said, being everlasting. You look at Halo, you look at Mortal Kombat, you look at Final Fantasy, you look at Fallout, BioShock. you see an end to those games. Those don't seem like series that can go on forever because, I mean, there's only so much story you can tell. Whereas Mario, there's no real story. It's just about the game play and the characters, and it just seems like, is there ever an end to Mario? It just doesn't seem like there ever will be. It just seems, as long as there's Nintendo, there'll be Mario. And even if Nintendo gets bought out for some crazy reason or goes out of business, somebody's going to pick up Mario and keep going. And Mario is something you can pass down to your kids and get them into gaming because, like I said, it speaks to all audiences of all ages. Whereas, Halo, I don't know, it's tough to find somebody that doesn't like Mario. And if they do, then they must have been born in, more recently in this generation, the first-person shooter generation, because anybody that was born in the mid to early 90s or late 80s, late to mid 80s, loves Mario. And Mario, like you said, is gaming. It's just hard to it's hard to find somebody that does it better in the overall picture and is a bigger juggernaut in the gaming world than the Mario, and rightfully so, because there's, like I said, there's just so much game history there and so much, there's freaking Mario Paint. There's just everything Mario. It's just ridiculous.
Mario Strikers, Mario Hoops.
Yeah, he's done everything, and it's not that he's done everything, because anybody can make a crappy game about anything and try and put their characters where they don't fit. But Mario fits all these environments. That's the crazy thing. I guess he hasn't done a first-person shooter that I know of, but that's a good thing. We have enough of those. But still, it's just like Mario. It's just like it's hard to explain any other way than I already did. It's just he's done so much and is so diverse that he's got it. He's just number one. He's the bee's knees, the cat's pajamas.
The cat's meow, you mean?
Whatever.
I mean, the only reason I can't put Mario in my top 5 is because I knew you were going to pick it for your number 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But all right, let's talk about honorable mentions while we wrap this up. Just a couple. Let's just throw a couple out there each. I'll start it off by saying Tony Hawk. How much fun was Tony Hawk games growing up?
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2.
That's one that really went downhill, and it really, I think the later ones really ruined it in our minds. But I think if you take 1 through Thug 2, there's just so many great memories and so much fun to be had there. Those were all great games.
Thug 2 wasn't so great.
I had fun with it.
It was good, but it wasn't as good as Thug 1.
That was one of the first games I ever played online, so I had a ton of fun with it on my PlayStation 2. But yeah, what other games would you guys put on your honorable mentions? That was one that I was contemplating, but yeah, just it didn't quite make the list because it wasn't as good as the other ones in my opinion.
I wanted to put Zelda up there, but I mean I just couldn't fit it in there. I mean, especially the 2D Zeldas. I absolutely love the 2D Zeldas. Oracle of Ages, Oracle of Seasons, Link to the Past. I mean, they're just the top-down Zeldas to me are just so good.
Yeah, I was surprised you didn't put that in there. I love Zelda too, but I didn't really get into the Nintendo games because those weren't ones that I owned when I was younger, so I never really had a chance to play them. I started out becoming a huge Zelda fan with Ocarina of Time, and that's still one of my most favorite games. But as a franchise, I guess there wasn't enough Zelda games that I actually played to warrant it. But the Zelda games are some of the best games ever for sure.
Oh, definitely, especially they're pretty ahead of their time for when they were made, I believe. But I don't know. An honorable mention for me, I think, was Bloody Roar.
Yeah.
And Stephan, I know you played that game. I don't know if you played that game or not, Swanson, but that was a really fun game, and it's a game I would like to see made again. But it didn't go further than Bloody Roar 2, I don't think. But I mean, how cool is that to fight and transform into different animals and be able to do stuff like that? I thought that was a really cool concept that they brought to it, and that we really had a lot of fun playing that game.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it under best franchises on any means, but the game itself was a ton of fun.
Honorable mention. That's why.
Yeah, definitely.
Not a franchise. Yeah.
Another one for me was Grand Theft Auto, like I mentioned earlier. That was on the cusp of I think it got kicked out by Pokemon just because I've had I don't know, Pokemon. I think just I've enjoyed more, but Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, San Andreas, 4, They were all great games. Even the top-down ones, 2 and 1, I had a lot of fun on the computer back in the day. So those are all great games. How many? I mean, talk about ahead of its time and revolutionary. Grand Theft Auto 3. That is still, I still think that's one of the best games ever as well. And eventually we'll have to do a list of our favorite games of all time.
Oh yeah.
So
I remember Grand Theft Auto 3. I was at Matt Runge's house and we played it until like 6 in the morning. And I had to be back home. I don't remember why, but I had to be back home in the morning. And I hadn't slept at all. So I was like, I was like 13 years old. I'm completely delirious because I've gone like 36 hours without sleep. And I get home and like I think my mom's a cop because I was playing the game so much. And I tried to do a cheat in real life. Like I started like stepping forward and stepping back. Like tried to do the wanted level cheat.
Yeah.
And she just thought I was like crazy and
That's
sent me
funny.
to my room. But not much for me too. The only reason I can't put it in my top 5 is just because of how recent it's come into my life, and it doesn't have like the seated nostalgia for me as my other games did. It's the Toho series. It's a Japanese shooting game where it's like pattern shooter. Where it's like kind of like.
Is that the one I saw you play?
Games. Yeah, it's like a bullet hell shooter. The main reason I like it is because the characters are really so well developed, and I mean they're just designed to be so likable, and there's just so many of them, and the music, as I'd say, he's a contender with Nobuo Uematsu as far as his composing abilities, and like the best thing is like the creator Zune does it all by himself. He does the programming, the characters, the drawing, the music, and releases it all just completely by himself, and he doesn't even try and turn a profit. I mean he sells the games for like $15 when they come out. And he's just a really respectable developer to me, and I'm really looking forward to the new game that's coming up, hopefully next year. And they're just they're games that I've devoted so many hours. I've come into it so recently, but I've put so many hours in the games that I feel kind of wrong leaving it out of my top 5.
Yeah, speaking of like more recent games that you don't really want to put in your top 5 because it's just too new. But one honorable mention that I have, that if it keeps going the way it's been going, if they keep pumping out this quality, Batman Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, those games are tons of fun. They are such good quality. I love Batman, obviously, huge fan. So to have such a great game of one of my favorite superhero is just awesome. Like it's just so hard to. Ah man, I would love to put it in my top 5, but yeah, it's just too new. There's only 2 games, so it's kind of hard to justify to be putting it in there. Granted, I put Gears of War, which only had 3, but it's been a franchise for a lot longer. But yeah, Batman, the Arkham games, I hope they continue. The next one's supposed to be a prequel, like in the golden age of comics, so it's going way back. So I don't know how well that'll do, but if it's made by the same people, I have full faith that they'll make it well. I just hope it turns out great because I definitely this is one of my most favorite upcoming franchises like that's on the rise, so to speak. Any other mentions?
Mega Man. I wish I could have put it up there. I'm so sorry.
Oh yeah, Mega Man's awesome. Mega Man's just one of those games that I love, but yeah, I can't put it in my top 5. If I had like a maybe top 10 or 15, it would definitely make the cut because I love Mega Man. But yeah, I can't. I don't have enough memories as a child. I didn't play it a whole lot as a child. It's more recent that I went back and played them, but it's definitely a great series. I love Mega Man.
I can put Mega Man X3 in my top 10 video games of all time safely, but franchise is hard to fit in the top 5.
Yeah. I would also say wrestling games and Splinter Cell both get mentioned for me because I've put a lot of hours in both of those. Splinter Cell, love the stealth aspects. Wrestling games just played ever since I was a kid, and I love the creating your characters and doing all that kind of crap. But wrestling games, they're fun. I've had tons of fun, so many great memories. It's another nostalgia aspect, but they aren't games that I consider to be my top 5 franchises or anything by any means. And Splinter Cell, I love Splinter Cell, but it'd probably make a top 10, not a top 5. Well, we kind of went long there, but if you guys want more, if you want to see more of our episodes in the future and you like what you heard, you can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/GoombaStompShow. You can email us at GoombaStompShow@hotmail.com. And you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/GoombaStomp. Not Goomba Stomp Show on that one, just Goomba Stomp. So, for Tyler Swanson, Tyler Tews, I'm Stephan, and we'll see you guys later.
I'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.